Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to see you here tonight. Tonight, we'll be discussing freedom of speech and whether it's something that we still possess, a very controversial and important political topic. This is very interesting. The vote is incredibly close on this one. So, yeah, we'll see how that turns out. Right then, so I'll call our first speaker up. So, Chance, whenever you're ready, floor is yours.
Hello, I'm Chance. I believe that free speech does exist and it's under attack. I believe that we need to use it to create a world in which we can solve problems peacefully without necessity for silence. So, I'd like to begin by addressing how free speech is a thing in our world. Free speech began with the First Amendment, where it's natural versus common law. So natural law is law that is inherent to being a human, what you have as being alive and what rights you have, say you were on a deserted island. And so that comes to the First Amendment, freedom of grasp, general assembly, speech, press, they're on there for. And included within that is the freedom of speech. In today's climate, it's under attack because people believe that speech can incite hate. I talked about natural law before and how it's inherent to creation. Speech, like say, my right to swing my fist ends where your nose begin. So my right to speak what I want ends when it intrudes upon somebody else's speech. And this has been talked about a lot, hate speech, but it's been boiled down to Supreme Court rulings where it says that hate speech is only illegal when it incites immediate violence. So, for example, I cannot say I want you to go burn down the 7-Eleven. I can say, however, I wish that the 7-Eleven would be burned down. And that has incited some protests. And within these protests, it's defeating the very thing it hopes to achieve. People are pulling fire alarms and assaulting professors in colleges around the United States. They victimize people and they say that if you are below this certain amount of victimization, you can't speak. Take white privilege, for example. In our society, free speech is a necessity, and it's there for a reason. Otherwise, there wouldn't be anything that's causing all these trouble. And it's free speech that is inciting this violence, but nothing gets done in a community without forward-thinking ideas. People like to link up with things that they agree with, but there's no radicalization in there and therefore no breakthroughs. In conclusion, I'd like to say that free speech is existent, but it's volatile. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We have some questions for you, Chan. First up is Toffee.
Okay, you said that free speech ends when it takes away speech from someone else, yeah?
Agreed, yeah.
So when does a joke go from a joke to being against free speech?
So a joke stops being a joke when it's not funny. That's just what it is. And I think, and it all comes down to what you think is funny. But to say that me being able to say this joke is not allowed, then people can say what they think is funny, but it all just depends on their comedic views.
We have another question. Radix.
Yeah, that would be me. So I remember you said that free speech does exist, but it's under attack, and I see that happening a lot everywhere on the internet, and even here in real life in my country. The thing is, my question is we all know that when it comes to jokes, for example, taking what someone else said here just a while ago, when does a joke is not funny or not crosses the line and stuff like that, where people should draw that line. But if if humor itself, it's an extremely subjective thing. Like, people laugh at different things in very, very different contexts. Some things are very serious, and there are things that are just like really light. But again, humor is a very subjective thing. So, um, considering all these things, where do you think that people should like actually what people should do, like, to actually draw a line that everyone could possibly understand, like something that doesn't really attack doesn't really attack people's freedom of speech, but actually helps everyone understand what is actually meant to be a joke and what is actually trying to incite violence.
So the question is, how do we draw a line where a joke stops being funny and starts being hateful? I'll agree that, humor is subjective. It all depends on the person. We can't throw people in jail because they told a bad joke, but you can learn to be more accepting of other people's life stories and why they would say things. And really, if it's meant to be hurtful, then it's not humorous, in my opinion.
Thank you very much, Simba.
Hi, Chance. Thanks for speaking. I would say that you argued to some degree successfully that we have freedom of speech in the West, but what about the rest of the world?
So, like I said, it's under attack. Most places are addressing this whole free speech issue, and as it becomes more and more relevant. But the West, I can only lead by example what I believe that a world with free speech should be like. I'm not the ruler of Britain or India or China. I can't install democracy into a place that I have no rulings in. But I can say that there are people who are fighting for this very belief within your very own country. I am assured of it.
Well, I would say that Britain is very much in the West. I was meaning places more like Iran, where if I criticize the government, I might get beheaded.
Yes,
I assure you, my country is similar to yours.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that, but like, I'm not the ruler of, say, Iran or China or Russia. I can't change the government. I can only be me and show the rest of the world what is good and what is not.
To be clear, okay, let me start again. I'm not criticizing you for Iran's poor record of freedom of speech. What I'm asking, or what I'm pointing out, is that you have made a case that the West has some sort of limited, under attack freedom of speech. What do you think about the rest of the world?
I mean, it's so take that limited amount of free speech and make it banned. It's still a thing, and it's still a necessity. And my point is that, like, people aren't fighting and potentially even dying for something that they don't believe in within their very own countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Chance. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.